have anything to do with how much or little philosophy somebody knows.
Well,
that's not what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it actually does.
It doesn't have to do with me being ignorant or knowledgeable.
Philosophical navel-gazing is incredibly common because we have a lot of philosophical terms that can be applied correctly. We have people that literally establish entire schools of thought that are dedicated to individual philosophical works that use very concise nomenclature, right? We have a lot, like the Chicago School, for example, a lot of Wittgensteinians there, and a lot of people that incorporate a lot of Kantian work in there. So, this type of navel-gazing is obviously super prevalent in all of philosophy. It doesn't, I don't know, I wouldn't exactly agree with you that it buries the concepts in philosophy. But at the same time, there is still this thing where these people, right? I mean, a perfect example of this is Robert Brenda, right? Someone that incorporates Kant, Hegel, and Rorty, and this kind of distancing themselves away from analytic philosophy and inventing new terms, right? That is a huge barrier that is made. And then you have like this system that is so specific to very specific contexts that it almost gets lost in the event itself. It's spectacular.
Well, let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. Here's an example. Let's say somebody is talking about,
but there are theories of everything.
Let's say somebody is talking about whether or not we should understand something because of the inference. Okay, somebody might say this is the best conclusion based on the inference. From the evidence, the preponderance of evidence points to A being true, and then the other guy says, "Well, what is inference, and how do we conclude that we're making a proper inference?" And then that's when the ball starts rolling, and it just goes down into more and more and more philosophy, and you don't ever get back to whether or not something is actually a strong inference or not based on evidence. See,
and I would really agree.
The problem that I was talking about, and the subject gets and the subject gets completely sidetracked into detailed discussions about philosophy, and never to the meat of the problem, which is whether or not something is supported by the preponderance of evidence.
Yeah, that's wrong. Inferences are pretty
that's
well
absolutely
understood.
Correct.
No, it's wrong.
No, my example
inferences. Excuse me. I'm talking.
You're one ignorant son of a bitch.
Excuse me. Yeah, excuse me. Inferences are pretty well understood. You can get a basic level of the understanding of epistemology from any undergraduate text, and you can do extremely well in these discussions. What happens is you get both atheists and theists who don't have an understanding of elementary epistemology, who don't know what they're talking about, who get sidetracked, and or people like NephilimFree who have an agenda, which is to not understand epistemology in order to push their religious ideology, and they have an incentive to not understand what a proper inference is. It's not difficult. Making inferences is not difficult.
Epistemology as though it's not a conversation.
No, let me
hold on.
Let's give an example. We can actually make an example.
Fuck up and I want nobody to interrupt Brenda and Neff at the moment, please.
Let me give you a perfect example.
Okay,
let's say that I say that A is true. If we are to accept the preponderance of evidence, we have the inference that A is true. And somebody starts talking about, well, what is a proper inference and all that. The thing is, now you're talking about what inferences are instead of the evidence.
Yeah.
That's the point. Okay.
Well, it's important to know. It's important to know what the inference is.
But let me finish. So let's do that, shall we? Okay, I'm going to make a claim, and you dig into the details of philosophy while I talk about the evidence, and we'll see who's actually talking about something that actually sticks with the subject. Let's do that, shall we? Okay, so I'll make a statement. I'll make a statement that the existence of there is powerful evidence for the existence of non-physical minds. Okay. And because God is a non-physical mind, and we have non-physical minds because God gave them to us. Now, the supernatural exists if human beings have non-physical minds. If humans have non-physical minds, then we have evidence of spirit. If we have evidence of spirit, evolution theory, philosophical materialism of atheism is not true, because we have something that's supernatural as existence. So evidence of the spirit is supported by the evidence for non-physical minds. Okay, and the evidence shows that humans have a non-physical mind. Now, you make your argument, and you just use philosophy instead of anything else.
Did you have a conclusion?
Yeah, the conclusion is the philosophical materialism of atheism is incorrect.
You're
I
begging
thought I
the question.
said that already.
The arguments are so gay. I don't even know how anyone can look at our argument and be like,
you were told to be quiet, dude.
You're begging the question, Nephilim. You're begging the question because you presupposed immaterial minds to begin with, and then you use the fact of immaterial minds to conclude. You use the existence of immaterial minds to conclude that materialism is false, and because you presuppose that immaterial minds exist, that you presupposed it. So you're begging the question.
No, I don't. I don't presuppose. As I said, there is powerful evidence for the existence.
No, that's a claim. That's an unsupported claim. Then make the case for your unsupported claim.
Supported. So let's discuss the evidence.
Making a claim is not a support.
You proved my point already. You're digging into ideas about claims while I'm telling you I have evidence, and
you making a claim isn't an argument.
Already. You made my point.
You making a claim isn't an argument
tonight.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You
learned
taught
something.
me.
And
I
it
learned.
didn't take 20 seconds, and you learned.
I learned that you don't know how to make an argument.
You blew it.
Yeah, simply saying that
everybody
we have
in
evidence.
The room knows you
excuse
did.
Excuse me, Nephilim. You said that we have evidence for immaterial minds, and you didn't support that claim, but you used that claim to derive your conclusion that materialism is false because we have immaterial minds.
No, I
but you failed. You didn't cite any evidence. What's your evidence?
I cited any. I said I have evidence.
Yeah, I don't care.
Discussing that evidence.
Where's your cite it?
You're digging into philosophy.
Fine, cite your evidence.
You've already failed. I made my point already.
No, you haven't. Cite your evidence.
Yeah, you wanted to talk about something other than the evidence. You see, because you want to dig into philosophy.
I'm asking for the evidence. I'm asking for the evidence.
I taught you something today.
I'm asking for the evidence, and you won't.
Well, now you are because you see the mistake you made.
I've been asking for like 3 minutes now. I've been asking you to give the evidence. You went straight
to philosophy and discussing. You don't inference. What is inference and that kind of crap? That's not what I was talking about. I was talking about evidence. You want to talk philosophy. I want to talk evidence. See, that's where you made your mistake.
I showed that your argument was not valid. Because
you didn't do any such thing. I didn't provide any evidence. I said I have evidence.
Yes.
And you went straight to philosophy about what is inference. And I told you'd do it before you did, and you failed.
No, you made a claim.
You learned something.
You made a claim which contained. You made a claim which contained your conclusion, right? Because you concluded that on the fact that we have immaterial minds, God must exist, but you presuppose the existence of immaterial minds.
No, I just stated a thesis.
Unsupported. Yes, you stated an unsupported claim that we have evidence. Yeah,
I stated a
you
thesis.
don't know. So
we didn't even get to discuss the evidence that I say I have.
Go ahead.
You buried yourself straight into philosophy.
Go ahead.
You do that.
You're invited. The door is open. Go ahead.
So my statement that digging deeply into philosophy often results in people never getting around to having a decent discussion or debate about whether or not something should be believed or not is true.
I'm waiting for the evidence. Go ahead.
You learned why people make this mistake when digging deeply into philosophy.
I'm waiting for the evidence. The door is open.
What I said they do.
The door is open. You are graciously invited to provide the evidence for your claim.
It's already over. You proved my point. You didn't take 30 seconds to do it.
No, I'm waiting for the evidence.
It's too late. You proved my point.
What are you, a child?
No, it's not a debate. It was an example to prove the point. You proved it so fast, my head's spinning. I'm done.
Yeah. So this is why you have run into these problems online, is because you don't understand how to make an argument, or even what differences
I don't want to
between
debate
sound
it.
and a valid argument is.
I don't
Yes,
want to
you don't want to
debate it.
debate. You want to.
I brought
I
it
know
up
you don't. You
as
want
a
to
way to
preach.
prove my point.
I know.
And I made my point.
You want to.
You buried yourself immediately in the philosophy. What's an inference, and how do we know they're true? And I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the evidence. But you
You're
didn't
not
want to
talking
go
about
there.
inferences. I
You
thought the
failed
subject
already.
was inferences. I thought the
You
subject was
proved my
inferences.
point. You proved my point.
Do you want to talk about inferences or the evidence? Which one is it?
Listen carefully to me. This will be the third time I've said it. I don't want to debate it. I only wanted to make a point, and I did.
You failed.
Oh God! Listen, if you really think I failed, then you've got issues.
So this is why, Nephilim, why you run into these problems online, because you don't understand
I don't
how
run
to make
into
arguments,
problems
or
online.
how to
that's just a lie. Come on. You do.
What the hell are you talking about? I don't run into problems online.
You always have a good time online. You never run into any issues. Come on. Fuck it.
I have lots of debates, and I don't have any problem debating.
Yeah, get out of here, faggot. You're lying.
Neph never runs from debates.
I take on all comers.
Sure you do.
Yeah, I do. In fact, I have an open challenge to any atheist evolutionist in the world to debate me in a structured debate.
Does modern day debates, will they take your take you?
I've debated on his channel several times already.
We need Brenda versus NephilimFree on modern day debates. Oh, it would be epic.
Oh, I've already debated this Brenda person. I think.
When have you called into the atheist experience and debated Matt Dillahunty?
That's not a debate.
The reason I was asking is because Nephilim is notorious on modern day debates for cutting and running. You run. You run.
I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Well, you suddenly have to do
7 to 8, 9 debates on his channel already.
Yeah, and you run away.
How do you run when you're in a structured debate?
You just drop the call.
You
go say, I have to go do something, and then you just leave. No, you just leave the debate. No, that's what has happened with you and the others. Yes,
that's pathetic. Wow, that's such a pathetic, dishonest thing.
You just left. You just left with wheat. You've
left reality, kid.
You know wheat. You know wheat. You know wheat, don't you? In your debate with wheat, you cut and run.
Oh, please!
You've
got mental issues.
Why don't you guys just debate evolution right now?
I'm happy to debate it. I love debating that subject.
That'd be dope.
If anybody wanted to, I would probably do it.
Brenda, will you debate it?
I debated.
I'll give it a shot. I
debated Brenda once on Modern Day Debates channel already.
I don't believe so. You might be confusing me with somebody else. I don't think I've been on. I don't think I have been.
Maybe it was Standing for Truth's channel. I don't know. It was about a year ago or something.
Have you ever talked to NephilimFree before, Brenda? You guys were both on Hangouts. I don't know if you ever met.
I've talked to him before. I don't know. It was quite some time ago. We talked a little bit. One of the things about NephilimFree is he doesn't understand what information is. He's completely ignorant about a great deal about science, and one of the main things he doesn't understand is information. Nephilim thinks that information is some kind of a thing. You think that information is some kind of a thing, a substance, and it's really just.
No, I don't think it's a substance.
Information is just repeated patterns that we observe in nature. So if you see patterns in nature, that's information.
No, if that were true, then books would have no meaning.
Well, they don't.
Information is more than patterns in nature.
Like a code
Information is created by intelligence.
No, it's not. It's just simply patterns. You're confusing Shannon information with the stochastic information. You're confusing the two. Yes, you are. You're confusing.
I'm not talking about Shannon information.
Yeah. You're confusing Shannon information with stochastic information.
Not talking about Shannon information at all.
Yes, you are. So
I'm not talking about Shannon information. Shannon information is statistical. I'm not talking about statistics about facts.
Right. Okay? So if I cut open a tree, if I cut open a tree, the tree rings provide me with a repeating pattern.
So you're saying a book is a repeating pattern in nature?
Books are created by humans, right?
The books contain information.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're not repeated patterns in nature, are they?
But books don't
it can be either.
True information, right? Data.
A book is not a pattern that we found in nature.
Sure it is.
No.
Different.
No, you don't know. I don't know what you're talking about.
You're saying that a book is a pattern that's found in nature? Is that what you're saying?
No, it exists, doesn't it? It exists, doesn't it?
Is a book a pattern found in nature?
It exists, yes. Created by humans. It's natural. It's part of the natural world.
Discovered. You said found.
A book is a physical object that contains physical information created by human beings. A tree, if I cut a tree stump open, the pattern of rings on the tree stump are a physical pattern containing physical information that is put there by nature.
That's nonsense.
You're saying that tree rings aren't information?
You're saying instructions are patterns found in nature?
Are you saying that a tree ring isn't information?
I didn't. That's not what I'm. A tree ring is information. No, it's not information. No.
Tree rings are not information. How is that possible? Because I can deduce. Because I can deduce how old a tree is. I can deduce how old a tree is by counting the rings. How can that not be information?
That's called analysis. That's called analysis.
Yeah. Analysis of the information. Right. No, the tree ring is information.
Is not information. It's just a tree ring.
Of course it is.
It's
what are you talking about?
By a human being. No.
No, it's physical.
About information.
Tree rings are physical information. They are physical patterns we find in nature that tell us how old the tree is, and you can deduce from the width of the tree rings whether or not the tree, what the weather, how much nutrients it had, whether it was a good year or a bad year, a cold year or a warm year. You can deduce all kinds. There's all kinds of information inside of a tree when you cut it open.
You're confused about information. If you observed tree rings, and then you wrote down what your findings were so that another person could understand them, now you have information.
Yes, you're confusing Shannon. You're confusing Shannon information.
Let me speak for a second.
You're confusing Shannon information. You're very confused.
Let me speak for a second. Okay, so objects themselves are not information. For something to be informative, a meaning must be applied to it. Okay, so let me finish. Let me give you an example.
I apply meaning to the tree stump.
Looking at a star. Okay, two people are looking at a star, and this particular star is particularly blue, and the blueness of the star is not information. Okay,
what are you talking about?
Let me finish.
It's the property.
It's the property of the star. That's all it is.
Somebody,
hold on. Let me give my example, please. So the one person, well, you'll learn why you're wrong if you'll allow me to finish my statement. Okay. So two people are observing, and one of them says to the other, he sees the star and he observes that it's blue. Now, there's still no information. He's only gained knowledge about the property of the star.
That's wrong, Nephilim.
Now he turns to Brenda, I know you're desperate to believe that godlessness is the truth, but you have to allow other human beings to speak. Okay, so the stargazer observes that the star is blue. There is no information there. It's just an observation about an object. Okay, so then he turns to the other stargazer, and he informs the other stargazer by, "Do you see that star?" it is particularly blue. Now you have created information. Someone has been informed.
You're wrong.
But the star's color is merely a property of the star. It is not itself information. It informs.
Okay. Okay. You're done. You're done. So you're wrong. The blueness of the star contains information about the star from which I can use spectroscopy in order to deduce the chemical composition of that star. So it is rich with information from the star. That's what the blue color is. Excuse me. I let you talk. We can deduce all kinds of things. Yes, the property of the star is that it's blue. It has a particular wavelength, a particular spectroscopic fingerprint, which indicates its temperature, its age, and its chemical composition. All of those things are in that blueness. So yes, it has information in it.
No, those are properties. If information were comprised of matter, is that your contention? That information is comprised of matter?
Information
is a physical material thing?
Information is patterns that we observe in nature.
Patterns are properties of material objects. Right. Okay.
The observed patterns, yes.
Okay.
It could also be like distinctions between things.
Right. So you're already talking about something observed, right? And observation itself is not information either. Okay? Information, the root word of information is inform, because information is knowledge conveyed from a sender to a receiver, employing a language agreed upon by. Let me finish. Information is knowledge. Let me finish my statement.
Whoever's talking that's not Brenda or Nep, shut the fuck up.
Let me finish my statement. Let me finish my statement. So information is knowledge conveyed from a sender to a receiver, employing a language agreed upon by both parties. If both parties don't share the same language, there'll be no informing. There is no information. It's babble. Okay.
That's Shannon information.
Is not bound to its medium. And this proves that information is not physical. An example of this is a book. The book contains encoded information, okay, but I can convey that information to any other person by either speaking it over the internet, writing it up, mailing them a copy. I can write it in the sand with a stick. I can convey it by many mediums, but when I do, I don't transport one damned atom or photon of that book anywhere. It stays exactly where it is, 100%. And yet, the information changes not one iota.
How long do we have to go suffer through this?
And not one iota. The information doesn't change one iota when I convey it through another medium. This proves that the material that is the book is not itself the information.
Right. So you're wrong.
It is the medium that carries it. So hold on. So let me just finish. The point of it is the information is not bound to its medium. It is not the medium. Therefore, information is not.
No, you haven't. So what you've shown is simply you're ignorant about what.
Please let Brenda talk for a while without being interrupted, Nep, because you did talk for a long time. Please.
Yeah. So what you're. Yes, thank you. So what you're confused about? Again, you're showing you're confused about the difference between Shannon information, where information comes from an intelligent source, and stochastic information, where it comes from natural processes. That's what stochastic information is, and you're confusing the two, and you're insisting that you're presupposing that all information must come from an intelligent sender, and that's simply false. Some information can come from random, natural, stochastic processes in the natural world. It doesn't all have to come. You're just presupposing that Shannon information is the only kind of information, and you're simply false about that. That's simply wrong.
Yeah, so you're incredibly wrong, because I'm not even talking about Shannon information, as I told you
just gave the definition. You just gave the definition for Shannon information.
So the problem for you is this, and I have made my point, that information is not bound to its medium and doesn't change one bit.
That's a claim. What's a claim?
The point is, excuse me. Okay. So because information is not bound to its medium, and the medium doesn't change or move or displace itself in physical space in any way when the information is conveyed, this proves the information itself is non-physical. For example, and I give you an example of that.
That's begging the question again.
You have a university professor, and he's giving a lecture in a classroom. There is no matter leaving his brain and going into the brain of every single one of those students while he's speaking on the podium.
Actually, there is.
The information, no, there is no matter leaving his brain and going into the brain of the other person.
Yes, there is.
The information he's conveying from his mind is non-physical because there is no matter being transported.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is.
His brain matter is not leaving.
Just yes, there is. Yes, it is.
You're saying he's leaving. Brain matter is leaving the professor and going into the brain of every student.
I'm saying that he is vocalizing, and sound waves, which are physical, are moving physically from the professor's mouth into the ears of the student, creating physical patterns within the student's brain. So yes, there is a unbroken causal chain from the professor to the student, by which information is transferred. And previously, you begged the question. You say that information becomes detached from its medium, and you simply use that to prove. Yes, you said it was.
I said it's not bound to it.
Yeah, that's the same thing.
No, it's not the same thing. It was never bound.
Yes, it is. Detached or bound.
It doesn't become detached. Yeah, it was
you need to provide. You need to provide an argument to support that claim.
I've already explained it.
No, you saying things doesn't make things true. You have to give an
what
argument.
I said is true. And here's an example.
No, it isn't true. It isn't true.
The book. Okay,
I refute that.
Why
You're
the
wrong.
information.
You need to provide an argument for why it's true. Give the argument.
Excuse me. So the information conveyance by the professor in the classroom is no different than the book. The matter from the brain of the professor doesn't leave, okay? Because the information coming from his mind is not brain matter. It's not physical matter from him, okay? In the same way like the book. No, it's not. No mass. He's not losing mass and you gaining mass.
Yes, he is.
No.
He's expending energy. He's expending energy to talk. So yes, he is expending mass. He's burning energy in order to talk. It takes energy.
Excuse me. The example I gave is the book. When you read a book to someone, they receive the information that's encoded in the book, but no matter from the book is leaving the book and going into the brain of the receiver. See, Brenda, you're absolutely logically completely lost here.
Do you think that meaning is in the book, or is it in the mind of the person reading the book?
It's in the mind of the one who encoded the information, who applied meaning to the symbols and arranged them so that they convey information.
Well, that's a claim, and you have yet to give an argument for your claim why information is not bound to its medium.
Gave an irrefutable argument.
Yeah, any argument.
The matter, the mass of the book does not change. No matter leaves the book when you convey the information verbally to another human being. Brenda, you're just lost here.
That's not true. That's not true. The light
clouds. You're just
that's not true.
La La Land.
I showed you were wrong in the case of the professor. Excuse me. The professor expends energy. He consumes energy in order to speak. The light reflects. Excuse me. On a book, light reflects off the page, and over a period of time, the light will degrade the information on the page because it imparts energy. The ultraviolet rays, the ultraviolet energy in the light will eventually, over time, degrade that information. Yes, it will. Yes, it will. So that's a transfer. That's a transfer of energy. The energy of the light hits the page and it reflects in such a way that we can resolve that with our eyes, right? And so that's a transfer of energy, right? So there is a physical causal connection between the book and my eye and the information contained in the book. There's a causal connection.
I don't think I can do anything else to damage your position after that. Anybody want to debate?
Well, it just sounds like she's saying that there's a causal explanation for why the brain interprets patterns a certain way.
Well, that doesn't get to whether anything about the nature of information, though.
Yeah, it does. It refutes your claim that information is in some way unbound or unconnected.
Information
that it's immaterial and floats free. You have not given an argument. You have not given an argument for your claim.
The information is stored by the arrangement of the symbols that convey information, the meaning of the symbols and their arrangement. Right. That's the information. It's not produced by light patterns or it comes from a mind. The symbols are encoded. That's the storage of information. The information is translated by interpreting the meaning from the symbols and then conveying that.
Yeah, nobody disputes that. That doesn't show that that information is immaterial. You have to show that information is immaterial. I'm saying that information is a particular pattern, a physical pattern that exists physically in the world. You have yet to show that it is immaterial.
So your mistake there is pointing out that information requires a physical medium, but you're alluding that the medium itself is the information, and that's your mistake.
The medium is physical. You're just admitting my claim. My claim is that the medium, the patterns, is what constitutes information. It's constitutive. The medium, the patterns of the medium is constitutive of information. That's what information is.
You confuse the medium with information.
You just said that's what it was just 5 seconds ago.
You're mentally lost. You're lost in the clouds. Anybody wants to debate evolution? I can stay up for a while.
I'm wondering what your problem is with saying something like meaning. As we tend to like perceive it as just something that's generated by like a change in brain state in response to like a sensory input, right? So it'd be like a causal explanation. We may not have like an exact causal like theory about it, right? But that might be the explanation, right?
No, I wouldn't think so. Can you explain to us why we are to believe that the physical arrangement of matter in space natively possesses meaning, or is able to create something non-physical like information?
Well, I think physicalists or materialists or whatever, they typically take the view that meaning, or the phenomena that we experience, the qualia or whatever, might either be like something that's like illusory, right? I don't know the other explanations, but I think that might be one explanation, right?
Well, so there has to be, if what you're saying is true, there has to be reason to believe that the physical arrangement of matter in space, such as which electrons or which atoms in which neurons are positively charged and which ones are not at any given instant in time, that physical arrangement of matter in space somehow constitutes the ability, possesses the ability to create something that has no mass or dimension, which is non-physical, such as information or an algorithm or aboutness, any of those things. How can you explain to why it's logical to believe the physical arrangement of matter in three-dimensional space is able to create something that has no mass or dimension?
Well, I think it's not contradictory to materialism, or at least some types of materialism, that like abstractions might exist, right? They're massless. They don't have like a causal, well, they may have a causal relationship. They may be grounded in causal relationships, but they don't have like a mass or anything like that. But as far as like thoughts or anything go, I'm not sure what you mean when you say like, does it like a thought has to be in like a particle? Is that kind of what you're getting at? Like thoughts or emotions or abstractions or whatever?
I'm saying if thoughts are produced by physical activity in a physical brain, then we have to have a reason to believe that the arrangement of matter in three-dimensional space is able to produce things that have no mass or dimension, non-physical entities, like information or algorithms or aboutness. Can you give us a reason for believing that the physical arrangement of matter in space has the ability to create things which don't exist physically?
What do you mean they don't exist physically?
They're not comprised of matter themselves.
Well,
they're non-physical.
There are many things that in the universe that are not composed of matter, right?
And he's begging the question again anyway. He's begging the question.
No? You can't. Well, you can't give me a logical reason to believe that, like, what you call a brain state, which is the arrangement of electrons in neuron cells at any given instant, somehow is able to produce something that doesn't physically exist, that is not comprised of matter and has no mass or dimension. That's what has to be true if your idea is true, that minds or brains. See, but you can't give me I'm just going to come right out and say it. You can't give me a rational reason for believing that.
Wait, but I'm wondering what you mean by it doesn't physically exist. Like mathematics, like elements of mathematics don't have like a spatial, extension, or they don't seem to engage, as far as we can tell, in like causal tendencies or anything like that. But nevertheless, like, we are compelled to some extent to think that they may exist, right?
Well, there's I'm just talking about those things which are non-physical. Okay.
I mean, would you consider like elements of mathematics to be non-physical?
I'm talking about an imaginary pig.
Yeah,
do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're talking about
information itself is non-physical. Human beings create it all the time. Functional information, instructions. You can say to the boy, the front tire should be attached first. That's information. That's not made of matter. Okay, that concept that the front tire should be attached first is not made of matter. Okay, but so if matter, if the brain state is able to produce the immaterial abstract mental construct, it has to be able to produce things that don't exist physically. Now, you're
just begging the question. You just beg the question
to believe that physical matter's arrangement in space is able to produce things that don't exist physically.
Well,
he just begs the question that it's non-physical.
Do you think
I verified that information is non-physical, at least so far?
No, you just claimed it is. You've never proved it.
No, you just live in la la land. I did.
Well, personal attacks or dismissal isn't an argument.
I'm sorry. I'm not going to repeat it 90 times.
Yeah, you haven't given an argument for why information is non-physical.
And I've never seen a banana either.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Well, somebody challenged, Godless Girl challenged people to debate me on evolution, and somebody brought up, information as though that was itself a discussion of evolution, and then somebody else brought up minds equal brain, and I was giving an argument that's not true.
Sir, may I ask, what is your position on evolution?
I'm a Young Earth Creationist.
Okay.
Yeah, as dumb as they come. As dumb as they come.
Let's not throw ad homs here. Okay.
I mean, do you?
What? Wait, is this Godless's server? What is this? No ad homs in Godless's server? What are we talking about?
Oh,
this can't be. Sorry. I'm not in the right server. What is this?
Sorry, I'm being a little bit too snowflakey here. Carry on.
Are you denying that thoughts engage or are grounded in like causal tendencies or causal relations?
Well, thoughts, I don't believe that material causes explain the existence of thought. Isn't that kind of my point?
So when someone thinks, they're not thinking in a causally dependent way, or like their thoughts are not grounded in causal dependencies or causal relations?
No, I don't believe that there is physical cause for thought. No. I thought I made that clear.
I'm saying like causal, right? Like, so like one thought, like thoughts aren't like random.
I don't believe in mental determinism either. I don't believe in mental reductionist determination.
Oh, Nephilim, he's saying that couldn't one thought, even if you think it's immaterial, cause another thought, even on the supposition that it's not.
You're not
material.
listening to me. I just got through saying I don't believe in mental reductionism either.
So even on the supposition that thoughts are immaterial, you don't think one thought can cause another thought?
Did I say that?
But I'm asking for clarification.
I'm saying thoughts are not caused by the material realm. That is not what the origin of a thought.
That wasn't his question.
Thoughts do not originate in matter and energy.
That wasn't the question. That wasn't the question. You didn't understand the question. I'll try again. What he's saying is that he's asking if, on the supposition that thinking or thoughts and mental states are immaterial, does one mental state cause another mental state?
I did not say that I don't think that a person can have a thought, because a moment ago they had another thought. Okay, but I've made it clear that I do not hold to the materialist idea that thoughts are produced by physical activity in a brain.
I understand, but somebody could think that there's such a thing as immaterial causation, that the immaterial realm or whatever it is that is mental has some kind of causal relations within itself.
All right, for the third time, I don't believe in mental determinism either.
Let me ask this.
I believe people have free volitional will because they have spirit, and spirit is mind, not brain.
Okay, so what does it look like, or how would you describe a thought, or like maybe like a sequence of thoughts, right? Whatever, like that is outside of like physical reality, right? So like you're saying it's not something that's physical, right? So like, let's strip the world of all the physical objects and everything, right?
This is a good question. That's a good question.
Right. So how would you describe a thought without any like physical stuff around? Like what kind of a thought could be had?
Okay. So because we're stuck in a three-dimensional world, all that we see and encompass and do it entails in one way or another the physical world. Just like to convey information, which is non-physical, requires a physical medium, because we're stuck in a physical world. You're not going to be able to convey the information in a physical world without using the physical world as the medium to convey it. But that doesn't mean that the origin of the information is material, or the information itself. So I don't believe in now I'm free to, but the problem is this. I can't tell you what is the mechanism and explain to you what the mechanism is for the origin of thought, except to say that the inference points to that a mind which is not comprised of matter is the origin. And what you're stuck on, and what you turn to immediately, because I think you're a materialist, or at least you're an atheist, right, is that this physical causation, your mind, the gears in your mind work in such a way that you think, well, if a thought is caused, then there's got to be some thing that causes a thought. I don't think there's a thing that causes a thought, because I don't think a thing that minds are things. I don't think they're not related to they're not part of the physical world. They're in a physical world, but they're not comprised of the physical world. Right.
Okay, so what are thoughts then?
Well, I mean, concepts, hopes, desires, dreams, fears, ambitions.
So he's asking, what are they? What are they ontologically? What is their ontology?
You're getting into things that nobody has a clear-cut answer for.
Well, I just don't understand why you're making the claim that they're not physical if you're like unable to give an account for what a thought would be if we abandon all the physical stuff, right? And then and kind of on top of that, like, so
I thought it would be a thought. You're stuck in thinking that the thought has to be made of something.
One second. I don't think in order to deny that thoughts are physical, you have to account where they come from.
No, I agree.
Sorry, go ahead, Neff.
Yeah.
See, the question is, what you're asking is, there has to be a thing of some kind, something that caused the thought. And that's the wrong question when we're talking about the immaterial world. There is no thing that caused the thought. You see,
it seems to me. It seems to me, in my experience, that one thought can generate another thought. So if I think about A, it often is the case that thinking about A causes me to think about B, and so there seems to be some sort of causal relation between thought A and thought B. And this seems to me to indicate that it must be physical. You claim it's immaterial. Maybe there's such a thing as immaterial causation, but I would like you to explain how immaterial causation works.
That's a materialist way of looking at things, and I've already explained.
I'm just asking.
I've already explained that nobody can give that mechanism.
Yeah, Brenda.
But then neither can.
Do you think he has to know that in order to deny physicalism?
Well, no, I'm just asking.
Neither is an atheist capable of explaining why the arrangement of matter in space is capable of producing something that doesn't exist physically either. See?
No, I'm just asking.
We both have essentially a problem there, right? But I'm just saying that the inference from the evidence shows that mind is not equal to brain. Brains are not the source of thought.
Well, I can give an account, and you can't.
Well, I'm quite sure that's wrong. You said everything you said is wrong so far.
That's why I'm wondering where the inference is coming from, right? So it's like I imagine there, like, I'm not familiar with neurology or whatever, but I imagine there's like experiments where you can, shock a brain or whatever, like pump some electricity into it, and it'll elicit a response, like, and change somebody's experience. Right?
Oh, sure. Sure, and we can show that there's a relationship between chemical activity in a brain and thoughts. I understand that. That's true. But that's not the point. That doesn't show that it could be the other way around.
It's evidence.
It doesn't show that the chemical activity is what produced the thought. It could be that the thought caused the chemical activity.
That could be, but it's good evidence.
So the point of it is, which I made, is that minds produce non-physical fundamental entities. Okay, and there's no rationale in believing that the arrangement of matter in space can produce things that don't exist. It works like this: if you have a physical arrangement of something and you disturb it, you're using something physical to cause a physical change in the environment. Okay, but minds produce things that don't physically exist at all. And so it stands to reason that if you want to change the physical environment, if you want to make things that are physical, by arranging matter or whatever, there's going to be a physical causation for that.
Well, you say that
producing but producing something that doesn't physically exist, then I'm saying the implication is that the cause for that is itself also non-physical.
So Nephi, you say that minds produce things that physically don't exist, correct?
Isn't that what I've been saying for 30 years?
Yeah. Isn't that a causal relation?
Yes.
So immaterial minds have a causal relation with the immaterial products of the mind, right?
Immaterial minds are capable of causing the existence of other non-material things.
Right. So there's a causal connection between immaterial minds and the products of those immaterial minds.
Well, of course.
Not 5 minutes ago, you said that you didn't know anything about this stuff, and now you do.
No, I didn't say I can show a mechanism for it. Is what I said. I can't show a mechanism.
Oh, we just talked about the mechanism. The mechanism is causal. It's a causal mechanism.
That's not mechanism.
It's a causal mechanism. You just explicated. The mechanism. It's a causal. Yeah, that is a mechanism. Causation is a mechanism. What are you talking about? That's a mechanism.
I didn't say that I can show how it happens. I'm saying that mind produces thoughts. Okay. I didn't say I can tell you how that happens.
Yes, you did. It's causal.
No, I didn't say how. I didn't say how.
Brenda, there's lots of things like in the cosmos that occur that we would want to say are causal, yet we don't know what the mechanism is, right?
Well, possibly, I suppose, but
yeah,
I want him to nail it down.
Not accounting for like what the mechanism is doesn't mean he can't claim it's not causal.
Well, I would like him to explain this more.
Just consider this. If minds are material, then there's no such thing as free will. And William Provine, the famous evolutionary biologist, has pointed this out and made fools of many atheists for not believing what they say they believe. And so the point of it is this: that if we're talking about causation, then free will doesn't exist if philosophical materialism were true, because if chemical activity in a brain is what produces thoughts and emotions, then everything that you think right now is caused by an unfathomable chain of prior material causes.
Yeah, I don't have a problem.
So there is no such thing as true volitional free will. It does not exist. Okay.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with that.
The problem with that, there's lots of problems with that, and one of the problems with that is human beings have a sense of justice. What rationale is there for punishing a collection of matter for holding up a convenience store with a gun when they could argue in front of the judge, Your Honor, you can't throw me in jail. I'm not guilty of anything. It's just the unfathomable chain of material causes going back to the Big Bang that made me do it.
Yeah, well, the reason I can give you that reason.
What sense does it make?
I can give you that reason.
To punish matter.
Stop talking.
So
stop talking.
These kinds of things
stop talking.
Point out the irrationality of believing.
Stop talking.
Be quiet.
Stop talking. I can give you that reason.
These kinds of things point out. Be quiet.
No, you stop talking. I'm going to answer your question.
I'm not done. These kinds of things point out the irrationality of philosophical materialism.
No, so the reason that we would punish the criminal is precisely because we live in a deterministic world, right? Because the punishment will decrease the likelihood that he'll commit the crime, right? It's precisely because the world is deterministic that we would punish the criminal and put him in jail in order to prevent him from committing further crimes. That's perfectly reasonable. That's causal. That's determined. Yes, that's deterministic. That's perfectly in line. Excuse me. Shut up.
What you're not even considering is the stupid idea of punishing matter.
Shut up. I'm talking. Shut up.
It's good.
Shut up. I'm talking. It's deterministic. It's deterministic.
You guys have a good evening. Okay.
It's deterministic.
All right, Phil. See you later.
Have a good one, guys.
You're leaving?
Yeah, I can't listen to Brenda anymore. This person is incapable of having a conversation. It's shut up. It's this. I'm talking.
I was talking.
Nephilim,
You
I'd
were
like to change the topic. Nephilim, I'd like to just change the topic and address you with one thing. I'm just going to say one thing, and I'd like you to, and then you can expound upon it and tell me if you agree or disagree with me. Now, I'm a theist, okay? I reject materialism. I think materialism is garbage. I reject physicalism. I am a theist. However, I do disagree with you regarding young Earth creationism. Now, I don't necessarily affirm what the scientists tell us. You know, their predictive models can be wrong or whatnot, but I don't believe the Earth is 6,000 years old, and I'll give you my evidence from your own Bible, right? So it states in 2 Peter